Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with drummer Chris Parker and guitarist Rodrigo Cotelo of the Bloomerangs. We caught up with them on April 10, 2020, just as the COVID-19 world was heating up to talk about their latest 2020 CD, Bloomerangs. In 2016, Rodrigo founded the Bloomerangs, which is an international music collective dedicated to exploring musical genres. It's a great sound. It's a great story. Get to know him.
Gentlemen, thank you for taking a minute for Neon Jazz today.
It's our pleasure. We're happy to be here.
Right on. So I want to ask you about Bloomerangs, the 2020 CD. Talk to me about this project and kind of how you feel about it, not only from an artistic standpoint, but kind of under the guise of what's going on in the world right now.
The project started taking form after, in one of the summers, we kind of like recorded a track, together, which was in some shape or form. And really, nothing to expect much, rather than Chris and I were already hanging. We already had, our first record, from Bloomerangs together. But Chris and both, Clay and Stefan were also going to the Jacobs School of Music at IU, Indiana University, and I was living in Bloomington. So after we kind of like hang, for that year, on the following summer, I was moving more back home where I am, Frankfort, Indiana, and we kind of like recorded that track. And truly without expectations, just for the fun of it. And we loved the result. And more so, we ended up being recognized as a, semi-finalist in the international songwriting competition on the jazz genre. And I mean, the judges were, VJ Ear, they were like incredible type judges, and I think that was a little bit of a boost of confidence and the self-belief that, hey, I think this is good enough for a record. And that is what kind of like trigger things, at least for me, from a writing point of view, to keep working, on some new music. And basically, when the cat, in this case, my friends, you start writing music thinking of them, and try to put everybody in a situation for excel, so that everybody can excel, and play to their fortes. And as the project evolved, to me, what happened as well is like I would have liked even more time to songwrite, so I had templates for other things, and this is when Chris' artistic input starting to help us shape it, in the means that his jazz here it is so far more developed, I guess, even than my own, that he understood that, hey, listen, we should improvise in the studio with these things. You don't have to have everything super written, so I trusted him, and we locked ourselves in the studio, and that is what brought it up. And to add on to the material, Clay brought some originals. Chris and I, wrote a couple more, and Chris mostly wrote the majority of it, so all of that came together really well, and that session ended up being killer, and what it is today, to release it today, in all honesty, we had no vision of what would, where we'll be standing, so today, April, 2020, when we even set the release date. But it has been, a very nice experience to some degree, like a blessing in disguise, because, to me personally, I've had more time to reach out individually to all of my friends, around and ask them, for the feedback and get them to listen to it and comment on them, but it's also to check on them, individually. So this time of also spending more time reconnecting with, all of my friends spread all over the world, into the context of releasing it today and sharing the music, it gives us an opportunity to hopefully light up somebody's day as well. So I don't know, Chris, would you like to add from your point of view?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so I live in New York City now, but with this pandemic, I'm back in Bloomington, Indiana, where I grew up and where I met Rodrigo, Clay, and Stefan, the musicians on the album. And we, Stefan's also back here. He lives in New Orleans. Rodrigo's not far from us. Clay, I think, is with his folks in Pennsylvania. And this band for several years really hasn't been this close physically, but it somehow feels like we've never been farther apart. We can't get together and make music. So it's really great to kind of revisit these memories through listening to this album and this collaborative effort we had together. And it's definitely brought me a lot of joy kind of reconnecting with this music over the past few weeks.
Well, talk to me a little bit about how you guys struck this musical relationship and what it's like to communicate musically.
Stefan, the bassist, and I, we've been playing together since I was in the 6th grade and he was in the 7th grade. And we've, over the years, having a trio together throughout high school and into college, we really developed a strong musical relationship. And then we met Clay Wilbrecht, the pianist, through All-State Band in Indiana. He was at Lafayette High School, I believe, and we were in Bloomington North. So we had kind of crossed paths in high school, and then in college we all ended up at the Jacob School of Music at Indiana University. And during our time there, we got the chance to play together some as a trio. But then I met Rodrigo, and we kind of started brainstorming musical projects to do together. And then introductions were made, and it was the perfect storm. You know, this trio that really had a great musical connection came together with Rodrigo, who's an awesome guitar player and productional force, and he kind of brought this all together into a concept, which resulted in the Moments and Fragments record.
What do you guys like best about creating music? What's the best part of being a musician?
To me personally, it is the freedom and the excitement and the thrill of creating something that didn't exist before. So Bloomerangs specifically is meant to be like a canvas or fertile ground, for artists, not only myself, but all of the ones that collaborate with it, to bring and create something new. And that is a little bit of the vision that we pursue, hence why it's always original material. Like we would play, some other tributes or things that we really enjoy. But to me, that is the thrill. It is to create something that didn't exist before.
Absolutely. And also, to kind of piggyback on that, we're all drawing from our influences as jazz musicians should do. And, we're openly discussing our influences. I can recall countless conversations with Rod and other members of the group where we said, oh, this song has kind of a so-and-so vibe, a Stephen Mossman vibe, Bill Stewart vibe. It's, always drawing on our stylistic influences and having a reference, but seeing how we can meld those in a way that creates something totally new, I think is probably my favorite part about the jazz art form.
As we live through these pretty extraordinary, uncertain times, which is a first for all of us on this planet right now, we're all looking at that moment where, hopefully we can get out and see live jazz again. It's been pretty surreal that it's gone, and a lot of things are gone. But my question is this: what revelations or any insights do you hope that both musician and audience member get from this time away that we can bring back when this all picks back up?
My first good reaction it is, going back to, the roots of the understanding of the importance of being together and close as humans. So that is the one thing I'm taking up the most. I guess this is my day 34, on lockdown, and I am a little bit having feverish today when we're doing this. So it makes me, go back into the understanding that even, and thanks to the tools that we have to still relate to each other, going back how, we're trying to use the record to reconnect with everybody. But it's also the sense of the importance of, being together, like even physically together to the moment, how it is ingrained in our DNA. So it has been great, I guess from a retrospective standpoint, that is the one thing that I will never take for granted again, how much, I miss, to see, the humans, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And just the experience of creating music in real time with people and being able to communicate, have a musical conversation. It's just not the same. We're all doing a lot of these, there's the acapella, we're all doing these collaborative projects from our home studios, and it's just it's great to connect and have some relief in that. But I really can't wait to play that first, cup the door gig that maybe pays $8, but I get to make some great music with great musicians. I'm looking forward to going back to that. I don't think I'll ever take those low-paying gigs for granted ever again.
Let's say once everything gets back up and you guys do swing through Kansas City and play live, what could an audience expect from an experience that you guys put on with a live show with this album?
I would say what to expect is unorthodox approaches, to music. That is going back to that, pursuit of doing something different, and the live setting makes it, something that, you've never heard before. Even though you're using the previous recording as a canvas, we want to create a, unique moment and experience. I guess unique moments and fragments for you to experience that will never happen ever again. So that is the beauty of improvised music as well. When they go see us, what to expect is that they will never even hear us again going there with the same approach, and you're never going to listen to the same sounds, even if you catch us on a second set in the same venue for the very next day. And that is also something that, I'm mind blown by working with this cast, which they are just amazing, and they adapt very quick when I try to change the game purposely. Even, and Chris and I've been joking about this, let's get the charts off of everybody out. And even though we're going to try to play it differently, try to do something to put us in positions to push ourselves and to try to keep music developing through us, with us as a channel of, getting that creation, happen and keep on expanding.
I think when we tour this album and when we come to Kansas City, we're looking forward to that. One of the best parts about this album is it's a vehicle for spontaneous creation. So while we have, Rod, how many tracks are there on the record?
13.
13. So 13 songs. Some are shorter than others, hence moments and fragments. But we might have all 13 songs, maybe 7 in the first set, 6 in the second set. But with the spontaneous creation that's happening on stage with these great musicians, we have, our ears are wide open. We have very big ears, and we might not get through all those songs. We might get through 4 of them and really stretch out and explore some different avenues that maybe you won't hear on the record. One of the other things I'm looking forward to doing with this project live is experimenting with transitions and having a continuous flow throughout the set. With the moments and fragments, you get a little snippet of all these different styles and influences and creations, but in the live setting, we'll really be able to create a set that flows and is spontaneous. And
Gentlemen, thank you for taking some time out. This is a pretty unique and extraordinary time in our lives, and to have a minute to talk about the music has been nice, and I appreciate it. Good luck with everything. Stay safe up there.
Thank you so much, and you as well.
Thank you for having us, and we look forward to getting to meet you in person. Going back to the queue, how much I miss talking and seeing humans and meeting humans. So looking forward to it.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest cats in New York, Kansas City, and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. And thanks to Chris and Rodrigo for their time, music, and story. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Domino on the iTunes Store. Visit neonjazz at youtube.com, and for everything Neon Jazz all the time, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.